Hello, good morning, and welcome to the BBS Breakfast Show. My name is Cleopatra Starretts. I'm an actor and a special effects makeup artist. I was so excited when I was asked to come and host this show today, and I thought I'd bring in some guests with me, and let's just hang out. Compliments of the season. I hope you're all in health. Today, my first guest is a creative artist manager. His name is Mr. Henry Balagon. He has managed quite a few notable artists, and one of the people he actually works with at the moment is the manager of Ike Turner, all the way back in Hollywood. So it's a pleasure to have you, Mr. Balagon. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
How are you today?
Very well, thank you.
Well,
Yes.
I thought it'd be nice to, get to know you and get to know what you do, and then just chat for a little bit.
Yeah. Morning. How would I put it?
Tell me about yourself.
Okay, myself. I'm a creative director, as I specified, for an organization which is self-run by myself, called Henry Balagon Creatives. I work with music,
Okay.
fashion industry, and post-production on films, and a couple of artists and recording artists who are quite well put together. And I'm looking forward to moving into Hollywood, or Nollywood, as I put it that
Okay.
way, with, via a lady called Rhoda Wilson, who introduced me to you and told me to come and speak on her behalf about a few things.
The forthcoming movie, which is going to be on the debut date on the 29th of December.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yes.
But so, what was your motivation to go into creative artist management? Because your background was IT, right?
Yes. I worked, not basically IT, I worked in direct marketing, which was basically doing the IT work, and at the same time doing a lot of work in regards to trying to promote specific types of companies, British Airways, the eBay accounts, and a whole host of other companies that I did a lot of work with in regards to direct marketing. And a lot of people that I used to work with were saying, "Hi, Miss Henderson, you seem to know how to actually talk or negotiate specific things on people's behalf. So why don't you facilitate?" So I kind of thought that I should try and help. Started off with a girl called Scarlett a long time ago, who kind of looks like Lady Gaga, and I kind of tried to push her forward. She's now working with Big Noise Music in the United States. Big Noise Music, the manager Al Goss was the artist manager for Christina Aguilera.
Okay.
And moved on from there to Catwalk Music, from Catwalk Music, then into fashion. As you know, Catwalk Music has an affiliation with models. Then I all of a sudden started working with models in Finland. Worked with a lady called Suzanne. She won Most Sexiest Woman in Finland. And I kind of got a feel. Then I moved into fashion, and I met up with a lady called Savike, who runs the House of Icons. And she kind of sparked a light in me. She kind of inspired me to actually help, and I helped her try to get funds for her shows, moved on from then on. We now started to talk about other things. Then I came in contact with Dennis again and said, okay, why don't we try and push something forward? Let's try and...
Dennis Rubinstein, you mean?
Dennis Rubinstein, yes. And he started to write up a script for the film, still in the office, trying to look for funding.
Okay.
So if anybody needs to help with the funding, we'll be very happy to take some...
Okay. Okay, so who would you say you admire the most in your industry that you would like to work with, for instance?
As in an actress or producer?
As an actor and also as a producer, I suppose.
Okay, I'm working with someone who I took to liking, because I went to a little film production with some people, and I managed to meet a guy called Richard Blanchard. He was DOP for films like Mission Impossible and The Man Who Knew Infinity. Okay. And we kind of gelled in regards to a short film that we were trying to do called I Love You with Anna Michello.
Okay.
Learned a lot of the tricks of the trade from him. It was very interesting to see how things work out. Worked with Aaron Chopra and a few other people, Anna Pippi and a few other people. They were quite interesting to actually give me an insight as to how things were done in Hollywood. And I'm now taking it on board to try and see whether I can actually introduce that to Nollywood.
Okay, that's good. So have you met any notable people in Nollywood, either as maybe directors or producers?
Yeah, the main person I was actually, this is how it started off. I was asked to come to a preview of a film called Banana something.
Banana Island
Ghost,
Ghosts.
yeah, through a lady called Biola Labi.
Okay.
Because I met her in Nigeria because we're trying to see whether we can actually try and do something together. I've got a film which is still in the offing. It's about deities in
Right.
Nigeria, which I tried to see what I can get in there. And I met her and she came up to me, which is a bit of a funny one. And she just came up to me and said, "Oh, guess what? I'm looking for someone that could do color grading." I said, "Well, what's that all about?" And then she now started to talk about what she does, how she puts things forward. And we talked about how we can work together since she has a foothold in Nollywood. And I felt that I could actually help in doing other things. So we're trying to get funds together to actually help start improving the way Nollywood is depicted in society and so on. So we've been working together. And as of late, her latest film...
so it's called The Christmas Gift Given, something like that.
More or less.
Yeah, and it's going to be debuted on the 29th, I think, of December,
yes,
isn't it?
I attended the show, the premiere, and by chance, I kind of wiggled my way of actually getting one of my recording artists to be featured on her a CD. His name is Lakeside. He's someone that I work with in Nigeria, and he's a very good artist, as good as Wizkid. So he's on the bonus track on her CD. So if you look at the bonus track, please try and purchase it from Rhoda. Our website is rhodawilson.com.
Okay.
And you can find that.
Oh, that's fine. Okay. So I'm sure you're aware of all the stuff going on at the moment in the country with regards to Brexit.
Absolutely.
And so on and so forth. How do you think that relates to what you do? Is that going to affect
No,
you in
not
any
really,
way?
because the industry is fairly dynamic. It's not quite static or related to Brexit. You cannot, and don't forget, we were talking about Nollywood, Hollywood, and so on and so forth. But most of those, they transcend boundaries and borders. So I don't think Brexit would actually have an effect on the industry, apart from the fundings and the areas whereby funding can actually be, how would I use the word? Lessened, so that people can actually produce their films.
Right.
Yeah, so like in Ireland, as I've been told lately.
Okay. I know you're mainly based in Europe, right?
Yes, basically I'm based here and most of the Scandinavian countries.
Okay.
My kids are half Swedish, so I have an affiliation with Sweden too. So I know a couple of people over there in music and film production. So I work with them.
So the reason I'm asking is because there's this issue about this black on black crime here in the UK at the moment that's really serious, and we're trying to deal with.
Yeah.
Do you have anything similar in Europe? And if not, what do you think we can do to curb it?
That will be a very steep, because there's one thing is that I'm fairly shielded. I don't really kind of have an intimate relationship with the black on black crime, but I've watched a program recently. It was aired on TV called Brotherhood.
Right.
I sat down and watched that film. That film was actually brilliantly done. It was something that I believe, if we can actually get our youths to watch and see how crime not being an avenue for revenue or funding or creating a family, it actually helps in moving them away from crime and actually seeing whether they can actually do something better.
Do you think parents have a lot to contribute when it comes to actually raising kids that are well-centered and are not crime-driven or anything like that? Yes, I think parents do, because our parents, because we both, I think my parents are from Nigeria, and I noticed that we were brought up in a different format, somewhat, as I would say. We were always focusing on education, getting to where we need to go to. I studied law in engineering, and now I'm doing something that I think is more of my liking, like creative work, which is my parents were a bit shy away from trying to get me into film, to say no, study law or engineering or be a doctor, but I think creativeness has always been my forte. And then, it depends on the individual or what they want to do, and sometimes you need to help people to channel them into those environments and make sure that they themselves see role models who are in industry, so they can actually say, okay, emulate
guess
them.
what I can do it, like Adiboyega that did the Star Wars thing. He's done
exactly.
quite well.
I mean, we went to the same acting school. Obviously,
You know, so those are the types of role models that they need now. It's a bit more open to the younger ones. Our generation had a bit of a hard time, to be honest. That's what. But somehow we actually, I think we
turned
did
out
quite
all right, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, this is us right now.
Yes. So what are your plans for Christmas? Have you got anything happening for
My
Christmas?
plans for Christmas are all over the place. I was supposed to be in Nigeria, but I said, let me be here because my kids are coming from Sweden to come and spend time with us.
Okay.
Mia, Tova, they're into what I do. They're into the film production. They do all these writing books and scripts and so on and so forth.
That's nice.
Tova, my youngest one, is actually writing a book, and she's a bit like me. She's a Virgo like me, so she everybody knows who she is. She's very nosy, and she's got a very big following on Instagram.
Okay.
And on social media. So I follow what she does.
Right. That's good. That's good. Keep an eye on her.
Yeah,
yes.
I do.
Yes.
I do. And
Okay.
That's
really good. That's really good. Thank you very much.
Okay.
And hopefully we'll get to see you again. I'm sure you've got other big projects lined up.
Oh yes.
You know,
something that Iron Road we're planning to do. We're trying to get funding.
Okay. What's that called?
We haven't given it a title yet.
You've got a name yet.
We're looking for. Let's put it this way: if you don't have the funding,
you can't make it happen, right? Okay.
But I want to make sure that when we get the fundings, we do something with the experience I have with Nollywood and trying to merge it into Nollywood.
Okay.
And I think she was talking about trying to get Bollywood involved in this. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that would actually give a step into making the production of the films that she's making more central to the state of the mainstream way of making films. It's quite and there's one thing, she's very astute.
Yes.
I love the way she is. She's very passionate. She is.
Rhoda is probably one of the best we have here in this industry right now in the UK, and I'm excited about the forthcoming movie.
Yes.
The Christmas Gift Given, that's the title of the movie.
Yes.
And it's going to be debuted here first of all on the 29th of December. Yes. So you have to be there. It's going to be at the Odeon Cinema in Greenwich.
Yeah, absolutely.
So everybody get your tickets. Go to RhodaWilson.com.
RhodaWilson.com.
Okay.
She reminds me of one person that's inspired me when I was quite young. There's a lady called Jumoke Debayo, my aunt.
Okay.
Who was in all these old films in those days, and Love Thy Neighbours and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
She's the one that kind of pushed me into that.
Okay. So thank you very much for your time this morning. I hope you've had a lovely time here so far.
Yes, I have.
And hopefully we'll see you again real soon.
Pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody. Our next guest will be out in a minute, but in the meantime, don't touch that dial. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back. So my next guest is a friend of mine, and he's an amazing director of photography. His name is Mr. Kanayo Omo. I've been on a set with him before. There was a movie we produced last year called Kissing Shadows. That's going to be out next year, so you guys watch out for that movie. It's going to be fantastic. So he was absolutely fantastic on set, and I thought I'd ask him to come in today to talk about himself and also talk about the training that he also does for people. So, Mr. Kanayo Omo, welcome to the show. Good morning.
Morning.
Compliments of the season.
Same to you, man.
How are you today?
Hey, I couldn't complain.
Yeah?
If I did, wouldn't change the weather.
Right? That's what I think. Yeah. Okay, so tell me more about yourself. What inspired you into going into being a director of photography, for instance?
Well, first and foremost, I started out in theater, and I love that. It's really about telling stories, the center of it. I realized I could talk. See, as a kid, I'm the last out of 6, and I was the one who would hold up the whole room talking. So I started from that direction. I came from a legal family, and so it was like, well, you're going to do law. But I said, okay, no, that's not the direction. So my first degree was in theater.
Okay.
So I started from that, and then I realized I had a passion for trying to influence change and make life better. So it isn't so much escapism, but I wanted to recreate the world in a way that would help people understand themselves better and be the best that they could. So all in all, that's what led me into getting into becoming an artist in general.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So I know you've worked in Hollywood before.
Yes, I've had the opportunity.
Tell me about that.
I'll keep it short. My first foray into Hollywood was working on the set of the movie Amistad.
Oh, okay.
Spielberg's picture that was also produced by Debbie Allen. I had worked with Debbie Allen before.
Debbie Allen, the dancer?
The choreographer and the producer.
Yeah.
So I had a theater company, a colleague and I run a theater company in the Bay Area. We're based in the Bay Area in California. And we got this young man who sent us a script and said, we had an African theater company and he wanted some Africans to read the script. All said and done, we got together, read it, and some things came out of it with my colleague. And about a year later, my colleague sends me this email, early days of email, and says, hey, you know what? They're looking for actors in Hollywood for this movie. And we compared the stories and what we said. I said, we kind of are familiar with this. All said and done, I'd been in theater all that while, never really gone into film. And decided, all right, let's go for it. And we went for the audition, and basically they tossed, a bone on our lap, said, okay, what can you do that is African? And we're like, all right, we got our drums on the car. And I got cast as a principal on it. And it was my first foray as an actor in Hollywood. And from then on, got to do some other stuff with Universal Studios, with Disney Studios, with HBO. And it's been fun.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So have you had any challenges so far in your journey?
Yeah. Yes. First and foremost, I decided as a storyteller, as an artist, filmmaking was one direction. I also direct in theater. My best story when it comes to challenges has been in film. First, I had to understand that film is not simply about just, taking shots. It's about story. Story comes first. You have a great story. You can use a cell phone to tell, to make a movie. And that took me a while, and I lost a lot of time and a lot of money with my first picture, learning that process. So I guess that's been the first challenge. And of course, the usual one, understanding that it's show business. So I was on the show side, and really got good at the show side because I'd been in theater, I'd been in that, I'd been an actor, and then I realized, you need money to keep this going. So it's a balance between the passion, how much time you put into it, and how to survive through that process until somebody says, you know what, I like what you're doing, and this is something I'm going to put my back behind.
Okay, so is that where the training comes? Because I know you actually organize training. Yes. I've actually been to 1 or 2 of your training events, and they've been amazing, very, very enlightening. So is that where this comes in?
Yes, because I got to understand that working with a lot of people, either as a DP like we met on set, or as an actor on their set, or sometimes directing for them, I realized that we all have a passion to do something, to showcase something, to say something. It's a platform. And technology has allowed us so much, opportunity for everybody to be, an editor, to be that, to tell a story somehow. But there is still something about understanding the process, the show, the process for the show,
and the process for the business and how they marry perfectly to deliver something that can reach your audience and sustainably allow you get to the next one. There are a lot of one-time wonders, a lot of them, but sustainably, that's one of the most important parts.
Yeah.
So yes, that's where training comes into the picture. We realized we're going to start a program which, we called Roll-Camera-Action Workshop, which we had the opportunity to start last year here in the UK. And it's been excellent because we had a studio, we had about 3 studios which we had in Cheshunt. Now we've moved to Dagenham. And it was the opportunity to reach out to those who don't really get the opportunity to train, to have 10 weeks of workshops, meeting with people who are professionals in the industry, writers, other storytellers, editors, cameramen, different people in different fields, directors, makeup artists, and editors. And it really was a great opportunity because one thing that came out of it was that the instructors themselves realized that they were also learning from those who came on board. Mm-hmm. And it was quite instrumental because the aim was not just to teach you, but to end up with 1 or 2 products at the end of the whole season. So you're not just coming on board to learn, but you're gaining some skills and you're starting work right at the end of it.
So are they assured of starting something? Or because I remember when I came, there was this idea that we had some scripts and then there was going to be a movie at the end of it.
Yes.
So that's still the case?
That's still the case. And the best part was that, you see, life happens in show business. And we decided we're going to stay true to what we were teaching. Do the marketing. Before, most people think, I'm going to make a movie and sell it. Not necessarily the right direction, even as an indie. The truth is that the best movies you get to see have already been sold before the camera is opened. Mm-hmm. Somebody wants it. It's a product. And if somebody wants the product, then you know what you want to put in it and you're not wasting money. So we were true to that, and we're hoping, we're going to do 2 series. But we focused primarily on finishing 2 really good series that are meant for the Nollywood market, but also for the African diaspora market as well. And we fashioned and put our energies into making sure we had those ready. So we went through casting, the auditions, some of which you came. And we, after meeting and putting our heads together, we eventually decided we have a new season starting at the end of January.
Okay.
And it's an opportunity for some of those who've been in it to also be back. But we already have a cast waiting. And then we have another series that's going to join us. So our hope is to have 5 series at the end of next year.
That's fantastic.
And it's a beautiful pipeline. It's an opportunity, like I said, not just for us to put our skills into the grinder and see if it's really going to come out with something we can eat, but at the same time, it's for us to train ourselves, it's capacity building, have the people who can do the work behind the camera, have the people who can do the work in front, and at the same time, we're all getting trained. So it's not really teaching per se, it's sharing.
Sharing, okay. So financially though, how's that going? And first of all, for you, as I would call it a business in a way, as a business, and also for the people coming in who are coming for the training, is it affordable for them? And are you making money, return on investment?
We are on the 3 counts, so to speak.
Okay.
Number 1, in terms of finance, we're working with 1 or 2 organizations, and we are still looking for more who can come work with us, because, they have the opportunity of investing on the basis of a grant, a corporate grant.
Okay.
They have the opportunity of coming on board as investors in the sense that you're invested in the show. So just like you would a typical picture, if it makes some return, you're going to get something, some return for your investment. And at the same time, they have options of product placement into the program, which we do, because we have both an online platform and we intend to also work with terrestrial, getting the buy-in. So our hope is that right now we are working with 1 or 2 partners to put up the means for us to be able to do what we did the last time.
Okay.
Give an opportunity for 10 students or 10 people to come on board free.
Oh, wow, that's fantastic.
And that's something, so the sooner you're able to get on, roll-camera-action.com, subscribe, go ahead and enroll. The earlier people who come in are able
first
to...
10 people. Right?
First 10 people will be able to get, well, I don't know, some people have already taken some of the slots, but, the sooner people are able to get on board. And then we have people who can pay, but they are also supported They're also supported by the second organization. And we're looking for more people who can say, look, we have so number of people. We would want these people to get training, to be able to come up with a proper end result that's worth its while, that understands the market and the market is willing to receive. So organizations are welcome to come on board.
Okay, have you approached the likes of BFI, for instance?
We actually haven't. We've pitched them with one of the stories.
Okay.
And we intend to follow through with the other. The idea being, I think they're a wonderful opportunity for people to connect with, not just because they're a great establishment here, but they work with independent film.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, apart from finances, what has been your challenges, either as a director of photography in any of your movie sets, or so far what you do? Have you had any roadblocks?
Well, this business takes time. Patience is one of them. And you get to learn, number one, that it doesn't happen overnight. And when you get into it, it's a long gestation, business. So I guess that's one of them. There's home front. You have kids, you have the wife. Sometimes I'm traveling, doing work. For instance, in Nigeria, sometimes I'm gone for weeks on end. Sometimes a month. You got to fly back for the half term. So those are there. Those are just real practical realities. Then on the other side, it was understanding that when you do this, you need the right team. Getting the right team is a difference. I wouldn't make any comparisons. It's different in the US than being here. So I guess I still work with some of my team in the States. So sometimes if we really want to get a picture done, I'm working with folks that I have to bring on board because you're still looking to get people to work with. And we've built a great team in Nigeria, so we're looking forward to
that's good.
Yes.
That's good. So what would you say has been your greatest moment so far? So I'm sure there's more to come.
There's more to come, but I'll tell you two. Interestingly, the work I've done that has had the most impact on me isn't on film.
Okay.
It's been on stage. I direct on stage as well, and then of course artistically direct, not just the creative directing. I had the opportunity of working on a stage musical, Kakadu the musical in Nigeria, and I'm still waiting for the second shoe to drop, so to speak. It was a resounding success. Prior to starting that, people were like, what is a Nigerian musical? But it brought me back to my love, which was theater. And of course, the producer who, put his money where his wishes were, because it's an expensive venture. But we have so much talent in Nigeria. It is, that's just an understatement. But let's just say that it took, after the first year, the second year, we had the opportunity of representing Nigeria in Davos as well.
Okay.
But then being invited to South Africa, to the Joburg Theater, and this is a fantastic, let's just say that by the time we finished it there, it's very difficult to do it anywhere else because you're talking about a world-class stage, which is fantastic. Space-wise, backstage, on stage, acoustics, electrics. By the time we finished and had every night a standing ovation running for 2 weeks and having more of, an ownership of the show than even in Nigeria for something that is so Nigerian and so part of us. Like I said, I'm still waiting for the second shoe to drop.
Wow, sounds amazing.
It was a great opportunity. I learned a lot on set, a lot. Not just working with a great crew, but also understanding that we have a story to tell. We have so many stories to tell. And we've only touched the tip of the iceberg. And if I were to sum everything up in terms of what I do, it is telling the African story. There's too much of it for me to go anywhere else.
That's right. That's right. And only we can tell our story the best way. I love Hollywood and all that, and obviously we all strive to get there, but when it comes to telling stories, I think it's got to be Africans.
Well, story isn't simply telling. We are living a story.
Exactly.
2 minutes after this is his story. But who's the he? Is us. So when we look at stories, we have to understand stories from the right direction. As I said, when I discovered that made a change in terms of me as an artist, irrespective of what I was doing. Stories are the core of our being. Stories define how we think. They define who we are.
Yeah.
They define who we want to be. So understanding how you encapsulate story and put it, whether you're telling it on stage, you're telling it through dance, you're telling it through music, art, whichever format you want, it's about telling stories. And understanding that is what has helped me bridge being a director on stage, being a director in film, whether I'm doing TV series or training. All of it is about building stories and empowering more people to deliver their experiences that give unique stories that neither one of us individually can actually bring. It is the search for truth. So that's the empowerment I feel when I get into, this business in whatever genre or format I get in.
That's very good. You're very deep, aren't you? Very deep. Okay. So are there any persons, in particular, whether it's Hollywood or Nollywood, that you would love to work with, that you really admire and that you love to work with?
Several people.
Okay.
Several people. When I look at, I simply look at directors, for instance. There are directors whom I've worked with. I've had the opportunity of working with Steven Spielberg. Several people. He's a great inspiration in terms of watching him and seeing what he does. But I also look at Nigerian directors and some of the artists who are there. We have a lot of talent on the ground.
Absolutely.
Working, for instance, with musicians, I think our musical talent is great on its own. But if you fuse it into storytelling,
that would be amazing, wouldn't it?
So I couldn't begin to rattle out the number of artists we have. There are very many. Personally, also looking at in the UK here, we have also a lot of talent, a lot of young talent coming up. There are several other directors whom I have had the opportunity of meeting, who I would like to work with, but there's quite a list. Let's just say that across the board, I'm on the path to meeting each and every one of those people that I feel can deliver.
All right, let's start from the UK then. So who would you like to meet and work with in the UK?
Interestingly, looking at the UK, I've been across. Working on the Amistad, you do realize that several of the cast were from the UK.
Okay.
Chiwetel Ejiofor is a great actor. Chewie is a great actor.
Absolutely.
Great opportunity working with him. I'd love to work with him again. In my first movie here, I worked with Razaka Doti. I think I'd love to work with Raz again. Jaiman Hunsu, who was also part of the cast. So in a way, I'm thinking, it might be a great idea to put the team back together in a way under a picture that is telling our story in our own way. Now, that's something I'll be able to take to the
That
back.
will be fascinating. Yes. I'd love to get involved with that, actually.
Well, if I put that package together, I can guarantee that you haven't taken our training in terms of the roll camera action.
Well, I've been to acting school already anyway, so because I went to Identity School of Acting, so I think I'm good.
Well,
but you know what?
I agree with that, but I'll also say this. Coming from theater, I know that the show never ends. The show must go on.
It's still in
But
a
the
learning
training,
process.
that's the point. It's constant.
It still goes on.
Story goes on. It goes on. And you're always looking to perfect life. And life is never perfect.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will definitely pay you guys a visit again when you come back. Who would you say is somebody that has inspired you to even become what you are today? Who was your role model?
My father.
That's good. Tell me about him.
That's the first time I've kind of said that. Well, my father was a judge.
Okay.
And as I said, I was the last out of 6. And if I looked at it, I was the one who, in a way, was most like him. But my father was also a filmmaker. Most people never knew that. I grew up watching the movies he would make. Think of this. In the 60s, having an 8mm camera. My father also schooled here in the UK. And had this projector in the house. So before the days of, video and all that, we put up, the screen in the house and we would watch the movies he had made. He had this opportunity of going to Olympics right from 1972. When I was a little kid, I remember that's when he does his vacations. So he will film all these things. So we got to see the world in our house. with the projector, and he'll send it here to the UK. They'll watch the film, they'll bring it, and he'll put it on. So I grew up with that. So in a way, he was a judge, but he was a filmmaker. And my mom, who in a way was a homemaker, but also had a fantastic voice, could have become famous, singing in the convent with my auntie. She said, if it was in these days, they would be famous. So I come from, in a way, a combination of artists who didn't make it professional, but because, life was different then. But I had the opportunity, being the last out of 6, to take this on and say, you know what, this is a voice that I'm going to, speak with. And he was also a photographer, an avid photographer. So, one of the things he bequeathed to me before passing is we have these tons of albums.
Oh, wow.
So literally where I'm from, he has the photos of everybody's birth and everybody's weddings. So he said, do something with this. And I promised I would. I'm still working on it.
Okay.
So that's been my greatest influence. And at the same time, when I first started out to do theater, he wanted me to do law, of course, being a judge. And it was like, well, I went to university, and after the first year, I came back and was like, all right, let's have a chat. So what do you want to do with this? And I had this elaborate plan, well, I was going to do this, then do mass comm. I stopped there. If you don't know what you're going to do with what you're doing right now, then you're on the wrong path. I'm not going to tell you to change, but go back and find out what you want to do. So in my second year in university, whilst others were still, cool, we're partying, I was like, what does this do? What does that do? What do you do with this? What do you do with that? And that forced me by pretty much, in a 4-year course, by my 3rd year, I was doing final year stuff.
That's really good.
So that's been my greatest inspiration in terms of just trying to stay focused on something that's quite tough and is a long gestation career.
Okay, that's amazing. So if you had an opportunity to remake a classic film that you really, really love, what film would that be?
If you've had the opportunity of seeing Shaka Zulu,
Wow,
the series.
Yes. That's a long time ago.
Well, 1987, I think.
Yes.
It's one of the pictures that most influenced me because I saw the African story told deeper than I had ever seen it told before. I would want to do that again, but this time make it the African story, not just narrowed down to the Zulu experience, but the continental story. I think it's a beautiful picture. It was well made. The director, really did a good job. And at the same time, I like being on the lighting side as well, being a DP. The shots were fantastic. I mean, you had fantastic vistas, you had fantastic shots. And just the way they made the late Henry Balagon be majestic really influenced me. And it's something I'd like to touch on again.
Oh, that's nice. Okay. Fascinating. Okay. The previous guest, I asked him the same questions. I'm going to ask you this question again.
Sure.
How does this Brexit thing affect what you do? Does it affect it in any way at all?
It's just another story.
What are you going to do? Are you going to do a movie on Brexit?
Why not?
Why not?
Why not? But here's the point. What you're asking me now is a theme, is a documentary. Who knows how Brexit affects me and affects you? How does it affect us? We hear a lot about general things, but it's our story. So for me, it's just another story. It's another story to look out to say, is there somebody who needs to hear something they're not hearing, maybe in the mainstream? Being an independent filmmaker, is there something I can say about this? Because we have unique experiences that others don't know about, and they'll never know about. Because you and I may not be mainstream, but our story adds to the whole canvas of truth about Brexit.
Well, I don't know what the truth is if you ask me, because at the moment, even our Prime Minister is still trying to muddle the waters of, way through the oceans of
maybe
coming to a decision even. So it's tricky, isn't it?
Maybe we're trying to look at this simply from the political point of view. I also look at it from the human point of view.
Yeah, I suppose.
The human point of view is, what are we looking for? What do people individually feel? Are you hearing enough voices across the board? It's not just a pro and con thing. It's not two ways. What it is, the definition of it is people's lives. That's
Exactly.
really it. The
Yeah.
definition of anything political is people's lives. The truth about people's lives. We all make decisions based on one influence or the other. Sometimes compensatory measures are how we live our lives. So for me as a storyteller, it's just another story.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. And the other question I asked him was this. This black on black crime that's just become crazy. Now I know it's another story. So apart from the fact that it's another story to tell, which I think we should tell, but this story has to have a happy ending, because right now it's so sad. I hear one day after the other, one boy has been shot, one boy has been stabbed, one boy has been this and that and the other, and it's usually the black kids. And funny enough, it's usually the Nigerian kids, for that matter. What is it that Nigerian parents are not doing right? Because as far as I'm concerned, I feel charity begins at home. I know the society has a lot to play in terms of, molding the kids as well, but I think parents have a lot to do with it as well. So what are your thoughts on this?
Two things. Roll camera action workshops actually has targeted this.
Okay.
We've been in talks with one or two people in terms of reaching out to organizations or working with organizations that will help young teens see their lives. See, it's again story. If they tell their stories, you will get the answers. You see, oftentimes, for instance, one of the key things I understood in doing something like Kakadu the musical, it was simply themed as parents talking to their children. Because we weren't listening, we did not have the personal experiences of the 60s, of the 40s. I'm sure you look at, some of your parents, fashion and say, they're telling you not to wear those dresses. They wore miniskirts that long.
Oh, we're wearing them now, aren't we?
There you go. So time has come around again in a circle.
Yeah.
So it's about us speaking to each other. And I think the parents need to speak to the kids need to speak to the parents, and society needs to take cognizance of what the dialogue is about. So that's where we come in. We imagine a situation where you have 4 or 5 young teens given a camera to say, document your story. We will teach you how to tell us, to go to those places that you find interesting but we think is abhorrent, and tell us your story. That's part of what we're doing.
Fantastic, yeah.
And so that's part of why we say we look at corporates saying, look, come on board, support what we're doing, because we're reaching out for social causes as well. Because storytelling is an opportunity for us to deal with some of these challenges that we're having in our societies. So we're looking forward to that being a success. I can't tell you, I'm a parent. I know some of the challenges I deal with, but I also know that so many people deal with different parents.
That's right.
And so many kids deal with their own challenges. The parents themselves have their challenges. So we can begin to narrow down at 1 or 2 different issues in society and try to chronicle them all. I would rather say experience and share the experience with others through a story. I'm a storyteller. I'm a filmmaker. It's got to come from that direction. So yes, it's another story, but we're actually doing something about it.
So has any of those kids reached out to you yet?
We've only worked with one.
Okay.
We've only worked with one. We hope that local authorities and those who are having these challenges will look at a package of that sort and say, you know what, this is something we want to work with. I know
So how are they going to know that? Have you reached out to them to tell them, we've worked with these kids, this is his experience?
We have this on our website. If you go to roll-camera-action.com, you have, that's one of the programs which we have.
Okay.
And if they send us an email, at the same client@blackwingpro.org.
Say again?
Client.
Client.
Yes, client at black as in the color, wing as in flight.
One word.
PRO.org.
Okay.
We will send them a package so they can see how it works, how they can get involved, and also look at success stories of how these have helped young teens. I've had the opportunity of doing this also in America, in the States.
Okay.
A large part of what I was doing with a colleague, we had a theater company called Oriki Theater. And if you Google it, we started a rite of passage program in the city of Oakland. We've done it in the city of San Jose. We've done it in the city in Mountain View. And we worked with the local authority and with the councils to say, what were you going to do? One of the most interesting, we worked with the East Bay Prenatal, Council. They basically provided further education or complete education for young teens who became pregnant. And we're doing this in two of the most endangered schools in Oakland. And it was a fantastic opportunity because the first time I got into class, myself and the other artist, the drummer who came, when we finished, we couldn't speak for 15, 20 minutes driving back because we saw these almost like our daughters, like our young sisters. But by the time we finished, one of the most interesting things was that just moving around, I didn't live in Oakland, he did. And he would be moving around Oakland and just have somebody shout, "Hi!" across, because they felt a sense of brotherhood and they went through this rite of passage, which was not just telling their stories, but owning their future. And that made a difference for them. So that became something that we were able to package under our Ricky Theater to do with, San Jose, the city of San Jose, rite of passage program for boys. So it's been something we've carried. People need to own their existence, but they also need mentorship. Exactly. Every community needs to provide that. And you have the skills to do it, and you have the people. You just need to be able to put them in the right package. And that's what we're trying to also, bring here to the UK.
Okay. So for the youths out there then, what would you say to them in terms of getting them to come to your training or to your program? How are you reeling them in? Is it just through Facebook or WhatsApp? How are you?
Social media is one.
Advertising it, yeah.
We have some promos that are also on our site, that are on Facebook, that are on LinkedIn, and then we're also connecting with a couple of other organizations. We're sending this to two local authorities. And we're saying, hey, here's something that we think you might be interested in. But social media is one of the biggest because this is where they connect.
Yeah.
Is where they congregate. So you could put out flyers out there, you could put out posters out there, not necessarily. And I guess this is an opportunity for people to also listen and say, hey, you know what? Check it out. www.roll-camera-action.com. Check out the website and click into the workshop program.
Is there a number they can contact you on as well if they want to just talk?
Yes.
Just follow
they can call at 0787-184-3261. And just say you're calling about the RCAM or the roll-camera workshops, and you'll get all the information you need.
Say the number again one more time.
That's 0787-184-3261.
Fantastic. That's really wonderful talking to you. Before you go, what are you doing for Christmas?
Christmas. Working. But I have family over, so I'm having a bit of a party.
See, we're going to keep that quiet without inviting us.
Well, now that I've said it, you're invited.
Sounds fun. Thank you very much for taking time to come and talk to us today.
No, it's great. I mean, really for you fun. Anytime, man. You're family now, you're part of the team.
Absolutely.
That's the whole idea about what we do is, you're part of it. The creative business is a family.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's exciting. And I'm looking forward to coming to see you guys. Although Dagenham is quite far from me now. I mean, I live, it's like the other end of the world.
Well, we have it both in Cheshunt, in the studios. And then we've also moved to Dagenham because we needed to reach into East London.
Yeah.
And we're hoping by next year it should be in Nigeria.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a traveling package. The instructors basically go wherever it is that we can share our story and share the experience.
Okay, wonderful. So I look forward to that. So thank you very much for coming here today.
It's a pleasure.
And hopefully we'll invite you back next time to let us know how it's going.
We would love to tell a good story there.
Yes. So take care, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Great.
Thank you very much, everyone, for listening. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back. Now, you will not believe it. When I was talking to Kanayo, we had some messages asking that Kanayo should come back and also my first guest, Henry Balagon. They wanted them to come back because they felt like there was so much more to say, and the time that I gave them wasn't much. So I've had to call Henry to come back, and we've got Kanayo and Henry Balagon here again so that we can talk about other things that probably we haven't talked about before now. Things like, we talked about Brexit a little bit, so we can talk about that again. We can talk about politics. We can talk about show business. We can talk about, you know, things that we just feel like we want to chat about. So I'm going to welcome both of you back again, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you for staying. The number of the hotline to call is going to be displayed in a moment, so you can call and ask whatever questions you want to ask. I'm going to be asking them some questions here now. So just stay tuned. I'm sure you're going to have a good time. Okay, so there is politics going on right now in Nigeria in terms of the fact that I think January, when's the election? January, I think?
Soon. Is it March or January? One of the
Yeah, and things are a bit shaky at the moment. People are actually saying to me, oh, this is not a good time to go to Nigeria. You know, it's really hot. You know, it's like it's unstable and this, that, and the other. Have you had people talking to you about things like that, that, oh, Nigeria is not a safe place to go at the moment because of the politics and all the stuff going on at the moment? What is your take on it?
You want me to start? I'll let you start. Yes. I've heard a lot of issues regarding Nigeria and the politics going on.
Apparently it's going to be in March, isn't it?
I think it's in March.
Yeah.
I think so.
March
And yeah, I've been told a lot of all sorts of strange stories, but I don't take most of those things too seriously, to be honest. If I wanted to go, I would go there. Yeah. Sometimes it's best to go to a place. Like, for example, there was a time a long time ago that they say Brixton was a very bad place.
Mm-hmm. Oh, really?
If you were there, it didn't look as bad. Same as in the Bronx when I was in New York.
Well, yeah.
I was in Manhattan, found my way all the way down to Bronx, but I didn't see anything. You know, sometimes it's overplayed in the media itself for their own political
It is,
reasons.
and I kind of, you know, just picking back on what you're saying.
Yes.
You're right. Interestingly, 1992, when the Brixton riots happened,
Absolutely.
I just left 2 weeks
Really?
back to Nigeria
Okay.
before that major one started. I think,
Yes.
you know, some lady in pink. I just remember vividly in terms of the pictures. This is a great time to go to Nigeria. I know it may sound controversial, but it's a great time. When else? What are we asking for? We're asking for some sort of change. We're asking for development. Why not? This is the time. Now, there's an old saying for those who are in business. When there's blood on the streets, you buy property. I know you know that, right?
Absolutely.
What's the sense behind it? The sense behind it is this is when you take ownership of where Nigeria is going to go.
Absolutely.
So, if not Nigeria, where?
And Nigeria is the most beautiful nation in the world.
Absolutely, yes. We all
Everything
grew up
around
there.
Nigeria is wonderful. The problem we have is the people that are governing the country. There is a lot to be
I
said.
try not to get involved too much in politics. So
doesn't
sometimes it's
But
nice
we
to.
have to, though. We have to because
Yes,
we are Nigerians.
Yeah.
Yeah, we may have been born here, but Nigeria is
Absolutely.
still our home. And at the end of the day, we need to be involved about shaping the country.
That's why we were trying to look into trying to create films that would actually shadow or remove the fear factors that we have in Nigeria.
And that's true.
You know?
Talking about films
Yes.
and the impact it has on being Nigerian is interesting. So, again, an opportunity, I traveled. I went to Suriname. I was doing a documentary. And I went to Suriname, which used to be known as Dutch Guyana. And, you know, a diverse place, different peoples, and they all speak
Absolutely,
Dutch. And I ran into this lady, and she saw I was with the Nigerian contingent, and she came up to me and said, Queen. So I was like, what?
The hell is that?
She said, Queen Wonu. I was like, yeah. And she's originally from, you know, from Suriname. And she started telling me about the impact of Nollywood movies in Suriname.
Yeah.
Now, they call themselves, you know, Bush Africans, which is not derogatory to them. They being dark, even darker skin than you and I.
Yeah.
To them, seeing
Absolutely.
seeing people like them living without influence of, you know, doing good all by themselves and doing bad all by themselves. You know, seeing them made a big difference in their lives. She said, Nollywood movies don't stay on the shelves for a day.
Absolutely, yes. And
Now, we take for granted the stories we tell when we talk about Nigeria or being Nigeria. Sometimes I think we're hardest on ourselves. Because for those of us who've lived decades out in the West, you do realize that, you know what, it ain't as bad as it is.
Absolutely,
and it ain't as good as it is.
It's true.
So the whole idea is understanding that we need to take ownership of our reality.
Absolutely.
Good or bad. This is the time to go. This is the time to go put your dollars and your pounds and your yen and whatever back into the system. Because if Mama Put doesn't get somebody to, to pick up her rice, and, Iya does not get somebody to buy the yams in the market, how are they going to make sure that Christmas lights can bloom in the house?
Absolutely, yeah.
We've got to, it's not just, there's a lot for us to invest, but also to take. What we should take, we should be able to create, package, and deliver back.
Absolutely.
In the right way that it makes sense to folks.
And we gathered most of our experiences back in Nigeria, because during the time when we grew up, it was a lot of fun. We were always outdoors. We had magazines that we used to kind of read. I think Adela talked about it yesterday. I'm going to say it on live TV.
No. I'd love to know which one he remembers. I'd love to know being a storyteller, I'd love to know which one he remembers.
I don't think
Sadness and Joy?
No, it's a bit more provocative than that.
Okay, well, some of that, right?
Something that we did remember.
But I remember some of those, which kind of
okay.
told our stories. And it was interesting. I don't know, did you ever read Lance Spearman?
No.
You see, you guys didn't get the best of what it was like to be in Nigeria. You had some of those. Whilst you had all the other ones that were imported, you had Sadness and Joy.
Yeah, I remember that one.
You remember Sadness and Joy?
I remember Sadness and Joy.
So my point being that we are our story.
Absolutely.
And if you talk about, yes, there is tragedy, yes, there is pain, yes, there are challenges. But no matter how the worth of those, for me as a storyteller, comes from the fact that you're able to take this and make a difference in somebody else's life for tomorrow, positively and sustainably. Nigeria is going through change, it's going through development. Development is never easy.
Yeah.
We are a diverse people with, 250 different languages that are active?
Yeah.
That's a lot. There aren't too many places in the world that have that blessing. The question is, what do you do with it? And it's up to each and every one of us too, because we look at this as a challenge. Yes, it can be. That's the easy way out. But if you look at it as a blessing, that's opportunity of 250 different ways of doing something.
Absolutely.
And if you can get the best of those, even 200 of it, who can match you?
Well, hold that thought. For those of you who want to call in, the number is 0207 536 0382. That's 0207 536 0382. So just call in, all right? Let's hear your thoughts, okay? Now, back to what you were saying earlier. I hear what you're saying. I don't live in Nigeria. I wasn't born in Nigeria, but at least I have lived there for a period of time, and then I came back here again. Through the time that I lived there and even now, there is the problem, even if we try to, sugarcoat it or whatever, there is the problem about corruption. And that's the bottom line. It's so prevalent. It's ridiculous. It's gotten to a point now where people are like, they're lost for words about why the same people who are actually the ones responsible for the corruption are still in power. Whether directly or indirectly. There's this thing about the Senate as well, that they don't deserve the salary that they are paid because they don't really do a lot. They don't do a lot, and yet they're paid so much. And then there's this issue of, okay, you that are back home, you need to, you that are in London, come back home and build the country. We
get those stories, but
we've tried that. I've tried to go to Nigeria years ago. And if you don't give somebody something through the back door,
you can't really say that, because
you know what I mean?
It's the same thing in Italy, isn't it?
Is it the same thing?
Say, if you don't If you don't pay the
piper,
so you can't really get anything done, to be honest.
It's just, we're talking about
I understand where you're coming
degrees
from.
and
Yes,
levels of corruption.
Yeah.
Because I know most
But we
countries
shouldn't let
have
that
corruption.
deter us from actually going back. I mean, we should actually go back based on the skills we've acquired.
Yeah, but
and I know politics and corruption is endemic in
they
Nigeria.
go hand in hand, yeah.
We need to kind of.
I think.
What do you think?
You have a legal background as
Yes,
well.
same thing. Yeah.
And you're in the arts.
Absolutely.
So, you are sure in your business.
Absolutely.
So you can understand both sides.
I do.
Look, anything is a product. If you package it right, you can sell it. And when you sell it, you do something good with it. Our stories right now in Nigeria are fascinating. It's interesting to look at this, and I'm not being glib about it either, not recognizing the real life impact of these situations. But I've also got to stay in my center of interest and my center of strength.
Absolutely.
Look, you talk about all these areas. Nature abhors a vacuum. Nature, you can't suck air out without putting something else in.
Absolutely.
So what is the opposite of corruption? What are you putting in? You want corruption gone? Put something else in.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm trying to say. That how about if we try to get in the right people?
I'd rather say start here.
Yeah, the right people who have the right
You're looking for
mindset.
Are you looking for somebody who's already prepared? I'm saying it's you and I. We have a part in it.
Absolutely.
And
telling stories,
let's put it this exactly. When you tell a story, how many people are? Let's just typically say it's a movie theater, right? How many people are in the movie theater? You tell the right story. Do you know what you've done? For them to appreciate it means that it's connected with something in them. You've shown them something that they can relate to, a character, a scene, something. And we are empowered to take those people's attention and respect them and tell them something about it. The artist has the power to use. That's what it is. Look at all the different economic, indices right now. Do you realize that whether the government puts money into arts or not, arts will survive?
Absolutely.
It is who we are. It's one of the, look at it everywhere you go now, whatever it is, Nollywood is everywhere. It didn't start because somebody decided they were going to pour millions in. Somebody just had to tell a story. So what I'm trying to say is, look, let's understand our strength, even as we look at our challenges. Corruption is there. Nepotism is there. Tribalism is there. Great talent, there. Great ideas, there. Natural resources,
and
there.
abundance.
Absolutely.
So when you look at all these, which are you going to mine? If you're a miner in your own skill set, which are you going to mine? All these things we look at as challenges. They are stories, but they are opportunities for us to be able to bring light into darkness.
Yeah,
and they both work as a balance. Without one, you can't see the other. So to me, when we look at our nation as Nigerians, we need to realize that I have a responsibility. What am I going to do with what I'm doing right now that's going to add to that process? And it takes work. Whoever promised you that you were going to have a good country, did anybody make you that promise?
Yes.
When you were born, did anybody tell you, hey, go sit down, that's a country that's functioning? No. You were bequeathed an opportunity to do something with the product you got.
Well, if you're given an opportunity to do something, or if you have an opportunity and you want to do it, but the people that are so corrupt would do everything they can to stop you because if they feel that their livelihoods will be threatened. Because I have heard of stories, and I don't want to mention names, because I know names as well, of people who have actually tried, and I also have tried, and I'm still trying. I'm going back to Nigeria at some point to at least see what I can do for my country, because I love that nation. But I know people who have tried before to go into politics, to change things, because they're more enlightened, they're disciplined, they're responsible, they've got kids, and they want their kids to grow up to a better Nigeria. But every time they try to go, or they've gone, they've been frustrated. And some of them have left, have come back, some actually have been killed.
Yeah.
You know, and it's a sad situation, you know, because people actually have the heart to go and, because everybody loves Nigeria. Even people that are not Nigerians love Nigeria.
Absolutely.
It's just a shame that sometimes the bad rep or a few bad eggs want to tarnish the image of that country, but it's actually a wonderful country, you know. There are nations in the world who had worse economic situations, like what, is it China or Singapore or, you know, all these other countries,
itself,
Philippines as well. But now these countries are, they're so successful, you know, so
But
much
don't
so.
forget, it's not based on the political elements of it. It's the individuals. Nigerians are very, very creative.
Very
They're
entrepreneurial.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love
Very
the way we
creative,
are.
very entrepreneurial.
We are
Yes.
very.
Do you realize how
Absolutely.
much creativity we put into graft?
Yes.
How much creativity we put into ethnic
Hustle
differences?
and
Even
yes.
technology.
Yes.
IT,
Listen,
you know,
what I'm trying to
on.
say is, not to cut you.
Yes.
I like what you said, that they're creative.
Yes.
Have you heard the Singaporean story? Have you heard the Chinese story? You talked about Singapore.
Everybody
Now,
has a story.
That's
Yes,
my point.
that's the point.
Everybody
Yeah.
has a story.
So here's
But
my
the question is, will your story have a happy ending? Or what are you,
You can
doing to change
influence
the
it,
story,
yeah,
to
okay.
change the narrative? That's the question that we're asking.
Yeah.
And so each one of us, I feel, has an opportunity to contribute to changing the story, to make it what we want it to be.
Absolutely.
All right? But what we're saying is that the people that are not willing to do that, get off the way and let the people who actually want to make the country better go in there
Why?
and change things for the better.
Why?
Because at the end of the day, we've had 50, how many years now? Is it 58 years of independence? You know, we wanted to get away from the colonial masters so that we can be our own people and do things for ourselves. And I think the most important thing, the funniest thing really is that Nigerians are probably one of the most intelligent people in the world in terms of, you know, what we can do, in terms of our brains. Even in America, they're killing it. Professionalism, you know, the professionals, that they're killing it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here also, they're doing very well, you know. So we have everything that we need to actually be successful or to make that nation a successful nation. So what we are saying is, how about they just give the people who actually want to change that nation a chance, as opposed to frustrating the good people and sitting there in the funds and not allowing people to actually make that country
But there's one
a
thing I've
better
noticed
place.
that, for example, now I'm the social secretary for St. Gregory's College in the UK, and privately we've actually tried to improve the structure of our school, and we've done it in such a way that it doesn't really need any governmental funding or help. We've
Okay.
actually built one of the best laboratories in Nigeria, basically in Africa, and we've done it by the Old Boys Network.
And you're
which
able
is very
to
good.
sustain it.
And we've been sustaining it. Most schools have now started to move back into that. They said, because I went to
That's
Maryland
really good.
Comprehensive. So there's no issues regarding governments getting involved in it. They've actually kind of released most of the schools back to the Catholic missions.
Okay.
And individuals from the Old Boys
Unity schools,
have started to do it themselves. So we can actually do that and inject
Yes.
that kind of...
So that becomes
Yeah.
an influence where you can directly influence those from the school, you know, from the schools you went to. You know, it's interesting mentions he's a Gregorian,
Yes.
you know, and I respect that because his producer
What school did
was
you
a
go to?
Gregorian. My dad went to Ibobi.
Okay.
I'm an FGC warrior person. So,
I went to India
so-
College in Nigeria, and I
So-
know
so
that, I know
now-
the Old Girls Association there. Actually, they all always contribute money to actually rebuild the school because it's
Absolutely.
Two of
really
my
run down
sisters
now.
went to Idia College.
There you go.
So you see, you look at it, you're speaking about all these schools you just mentioned right now are
Absolutely.
what we would have said are kind of like our Ivy Leagues.
Absolutely.
So you look at it, there is something that was sown in us that we're supposed to put back.
Absolutely, yeah.
And that's what he's talking about. They've
that's
started
what
through a
they're doing.
pipeline
Yeah.
in terms of working with the old, you know, Gregorian, you know, network. I asked what you mentioned earlier on, and I asked something which may be controversial. Why should they give you anything? Why should the corrupt people leave? Have you put something in their place? Have you done something that will make them uncomfortable to leave? Why should they leave? Nobody gives you anything. In this place, nobody gives you anything.
Yes, absolutely.
In every government, I've had the opportunity of living here in the UK and living in the US. Nobody gives you anything. If you are willing to do something and you believe you really want to get it done, then you put your axe to the bottom of the tree and keep cutting until it falls. Now, I know this is hard, but it is the truth. In the sense that for each and every one of us, I don't expect, if I tell a story and the audience doesn't accept it, I lick my wounds, go back and look at what worked and what didn't, and put the next one out.
Absolutely.
It's a continuous thing, no matter where you are. Being Nigerian is beautiful.
Absolutely.
But also being Nigerian is hard. Being anything is hard. Now, what is it that makes us uniquely Nigerian? Now, I'll give you something here. When we finish here is his story. We don't say my story. This becomes his story.
Absolutely.
Who's the he? Because it's up to somebody else to do with it what they take from it.
Absolutely. And how do you interpret it?
Or her story, however you want to do it, in the age we're in now.
Yes.
But my point is that if we want to make a change, it's up to us. Do what you've started with, but realize that it's not going to be easy. It never is. Change never is, and that's the only constant in the world. Change.
Absolutely,
So
I agree with that.
I would enjoin Nigerians to say, look, you're doing something. Be proud of what you're doing, who you are, and keep doing it. Our stories tie up to all the different parts of the world. You have Nigerian Americans, you have British Nigerians, you have Nigerian Caribbeans, German Nigerians, Swedish Nigerians.
Absolutely.
You know, what's yours?
British Nigerian.
You know, British Nigerian, you know. All of this, the point is, being Nigerian is a story.
Absolutely.
Made up of many stories.
Absolutely.
All of who we are, we've realized is beautiful. Well,
And in the event of the Afrobeat thing, I mean, think about it.
What?
10, 20
Even
years
the British
ago,
people adore Afrobeats.
They actually played in mainstream nightclubs. I've
Yes,
heard it played in
yeah.
specific nightclubs.
Yeah.
I go to that. I was expecting
the
not
first
to.
time I headed on an airline, an
Yes.
international airline, I realized I was like, I noticed something is different here.
Yeah.
I'll give you another story. For instance, when Nigeria won, I think it was in the Olympics, the Dream Team.
Yes.
I happened to be in Atlanta. I drove to us, Athens. I took my father, and we went to the match. That was the match we had against Brazil.
Okay. Yeah.
And you know what? When we got to the place, just as we were getting in, Brazil had scored its first goal. As we came out, by the time we got our tickets and got to our seat, they had scored the second goal. There was a lot that went in there, but let's just put it this way, that when that extra time came in and they scored, something changed.
Yeah.
Prior to that time, driving all the way down from Atlanta to Athens, Georgia, you had all these buses that were green and yellow. Everybody was supporting Brazil. Because the Brazilian story was success in soccer. It wasn't the Nigerian story. But the team fought and changed that narrative that day.
Absolutely.
Now, I used to go pick my parents to take them to the arena in this place. They were staying in a guest house. And there was a sports store that was right there. And you couldn't find any Nigerian flag or memorabilia before that day.
But now?
The next morning, I got there. It was right there. By the time I was heading out back, my nephew was coming in to join my parents. For the first time, I saw folks in the state draped in Nigerian flag walking past immigration. I said, something has changed here.
Absolutely.
It's the narrative.
Excellent.
And that's why I emphasized the part about the Afrobeat thing.
Yeah.
We have a lot to be proud of.
We have a lot to
They
be
didn't
proud
need
of.
any politics to get them through to wherever they need to.
Tell the story. Afrobeat,
and
even
it's now,
the music of the young guys, the Two Faces. Look,
Wizkid.
they are doing their thing. They are telling
They're doing
the
their
Nigerian
thing.
story.
They're doing their thing. And on that
And that's
note,
why I said about Lakeside that I've actually introduced onto Rhoda's Christmas CD. Try to promote him.
Yeah, the artist you talked about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'd like to know.
thank you very much, both of you. On that note, we would leave it there, and we will say thank you very much for joining us. It's been fantastic. It's been fun. I hope at some point we'll come back and expatiate on this again.
Absolutely.
But it was lovely having both of you.
Pleasure.
I think we're going to be working together very soon, aren't we?
Yes, you should.
Let's shake on it.
Thank you very much, and we'll be right back. Don't touch that dial.
Yeah, okay. Lovely.
Hello and welcome back. So I'm so excited. We've got a wonderful, should I call her veteran actress here with me today. I've been looking forward to this interview. This is Victoria Yama. I'm sure most of you know her already, so I'm not going to introduce her very much. I'll let her talk a little bit about herself. But You know, she's a darling. She's a friend of mine, and I thought this show will not be complete without me inviting her here today, just to hang out with you and see how you're doing. How are you today, darling?
Hey, I was cold, but I'm hot now.
It's nice and cozy here, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah?
It's warm.
It's warm. I love it. It's really nice. So how are you?
Oh, good morning.
Yeah? Tell me about yourself. Tell us about yourself.
What do you want to hear now? What is it that I don't have out there already? Me, Victoria. This is me, Victoria Yama. Okay, what is it now?
Tell me how you started in the acting business, because you've been how long have you been in this game? You've been here for a long time.
I'm a vampire in the game.
Right?
Yes, I can't even remember, ageless, I guess. I think I started acting. When did I do Ripples? I was about 14, 13. Please don't ask me when. Don't ask me what year.
Don't worry, I can put 20 together. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yes, I would say I have been in the industry for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Because if I want to calculate it, I started with Uncle Zeb Bejiro, and then I met Joy Ejiro, that's Chiko Ejiro's wife, and I've been friends with Joy for 19 years.
Wow.
So that means, and I met Joy like a few years after. So yes, I've been there because I started
a long time.
From a soap, and then when the movie industry started, you know, I joined and we started and we built up until family took me out. And yes, and then now, not that I'm really coming back into acting, because I have another passion right now, and my struggles and challenges pushed me to psychology, and basically it's how to cope, how to see things, basically psychology is life.
That's right.
And you need to know about yourself, and you know, that took me to that search that I'm enjoying, and I'm for now and in future I want to start using everything I'm learning to help educate and inform people of how to cope with things, and how to enjoy life, basically. Because the problem with us, a lot of ethnic minorities, is that we use religion, and I always say, you know, there's a difference between religion and common sense, and there's a difference between your perspective and what it is and how you decide to deal with it. And at the end of the day, it's about how you decide to deal with it that really matters. I mean, you could decide, because my mom was a grumpy old woman, I'm going to end up being a grumpy old woman. Or you could decide that, you know what, my mom is a grumpy old woman, but regardless, I will be a happy, jolly fellow, you know. And it's all about your attitude. And the thing that most of us don't understand is that your attitude
determines your altitude.
It does. Because you wake up in the morning grumpy. Trust me, I don't know how it is, but up the whole day. But again, you could also wake up happy and things don't just fall into place. Well, how you see it and how you decide to just deal with it, you know, helps. I always say, and I read it, one of my lecturers, I think, talked about it, that a snake bite doesn't kill you. It is the venom that kills. So when the venom gets into the system and begins to travel all around and begins to poison the organs, that's how your attitude is, especially the negative ones. So when that traumatic thing happens in your life and you decide to allow it to stay
fester
in, and it begins to travel. And that's why they say, to a large extent, because I've had cancer and I've dealt with it and I've come out of it, cancer is a hormonal thing, and it feeds on a lot of negative energy. Stress, not just negative stress, even if you work too hard, like the late Steve Jobs, that I guess it was all about, you know, this invention, how do I do this, how do I do that, and his life was all about inventions and wanting to make other people's lives easier, you know, so that stress of it all. And then when you compare him to other people that just love to enjoy life, they don't have too much, and even the ones that have too much,
they're content.
Someone I really, really admire is this Virgin
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. That guy loves to enjoy his life.
And he's so unassuming. When you see him, you will think he's just like the regular...
I have met him many, many years ago in Nigeria when we had Virgin Atlantic, and he was actually tagging traveling bags. I just saw that blondie mustache. I said, who is this? So, you see, that's the difference. You know, taking things easy, taking life easy, and finding ways of coping with them, and you know, that's it. So that's what I'm about now. So it's not really about acting, but I do act if I enjoy.
Well, if you get a good script, then you would.
Yeah. Right. Do we really have? There's really nothing like a good script. It's your interpretation of it that.
That's what I was just going to say. If it's something that you feel that you can relate to, or something that you feel can convey a message.
If it's something that you feel you will be allowed to
interpret
in the best way you deem fit.
Yeah.
Because if I'm going to be working with a lovely person who just says, Victoria, let's give life a script. Every script is like but when you put life into it, that's what makes it different. If Charlie Chaplin, for instance, you sit down and you watch his movies, Mr. Bean, it's a script. It was scripted. But the way he goes about it, you're like, you just find out you're sitting there watching, and you're enjoying it. So it's basically about if I'm going to be allowed to interpret the thing and to work with every other artist, because they are artists and they are artists. There are people that want to act because they want to be on TV, they want to be popular, they want to be famous. And there are people that want to act because they have a passion.
It's a passion for it.
And they want to roll on the mud. They don't need to wear makeup. They don't need to look nice. They just want to interpret that script, and you would feel it with them, you know. So if I find people like that are ready to work, and obviously if I have the time, because 3 kids, final year, it's very, very interesting. And if I find the time, yes, I would still act.
So talking about actors then, who are the actors that you actually would admire or that you like to work with? Both Nollywood and Hollywood, or even Bollywood?
You know what? Acting, I can't really. I mean, there are people that I really admire, but I can't think of one now because it's not what I'm not so passionate about it anymore. Rather, my passion now is like being a member of the Guild of Psychologists in the UK. That's what I'm working towards. So I can't really think of. But I know that we have loads and loads of lovely, lovely actors and actresses, both in Nollywood and Hollywood. And even here in the UK. Because I was watching a series yesterday on TV, Emily. I think it was on BBC.
Okay.
Fantastic movies. I know it's a movie about Negroes and slave trades and all that.
I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's concluding tonight at 9 o'clock.
I'll find it on Catch Up, yes.
When you watch this movie, I don't even want to. Let not say as if I'm trying to promote this BBC thing, but when you watch it, you know that in life you're on your own. Do not help someone live their own reality, and then you end up
forgetting who you are,
or used product. Because this is a woman that was talking about her life. She's a black woman. She had a white master and all that, and the master started sleeping with her, and she got pregnant and now became madame. But when the chips were down, please, I don't even know what happened. I'll watch it tonight, but it's very, very interesting. Yeah, so
that's interesting. So your passion for acting has obviously, because you've been in the game for a long time, so it's understandable that you want to diversify or
it's not
switch.
Challenging anymore.
Yes, you've been there, done that.
It's not even that. It's just that what's going on now is so demoralizing, and I'm being very, very honest, and that's why I fall out with a lot of my colleagues, because I'm just like, what are you guys doing? I can't watch an Hollywood flick with my children. It's either I'm fast forwarding or I'm changing the channel or something, because even my 13-year-old son says, Mom, must they kiss? Is it necessary? Look at what she's wearing. How can you be at home and you're coming back from work and you go to work like that? What do I explain to him? Oh, these African people, that's how they are. I said, no, it's not African people. In fact, we're all very covered up people. But I really don't know what's going on. So before I watch a movie, even when I read the synopsis of the movie, I'm like praying, please let something unreasonable not come up. Because for my kids, they're either crying or cursing or... No, we need to start producing things. And we do have certain movies that produce content, but they don't go far. they are not commercial. So we have very reasonable, strong characters doing good movies, but they don't go far because we don't have that face, or it's not commercial, or it's not entertaining. But you forget that there are people that do not just watch for entertainment. I do know that Nigeria is going through a lot of issues, and the least they need is a serious movie. I do understand that. Comedy would work anytime. You know, all kinds of funny entertainment will work anytime. But then again, we are beginning to lose it in this whole, let's just do it for entertainment. Let's just, you know, that's a latest movie. I think they just premiered it the other day. And I tried to watch clips of it. I just wasn't impressed, and it's such a big budget movie.
Oh, really?
With big stars and everything, but you don't just make sense of what they're saying. It's so entertaining that I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I don't have time to watch this kind of entertainment now, so I better just leave it.
Wow. But you know what? At the end of the day, we can still shape it to the way we want it to be, right? All hope is not lost. I mean, I've come back into acting. I'm an actress now. I do special effects as well, and it's all part of my trying to give back to the industry. And for me, when I decided to come back into, when I decided to become an actor, I wanted to not just act for the sake of it, but understand the theoretical and intellectual aspects of acting. So I went back to acting school to skill myself. So that at least I understand why certain things are the way they are, and interpret it in the way that it should be. Now, I don't know how, and there's some people who are natural actors and all that. We have some veteran actresses, like you, for instance. You didn't go to acting school when you started.
I did.
You did?
No, okay, when I started, I did.
Yeah, when you started.
I was still very, very young. Yeah, I didn't. But then at the end, I did theatre arts in University of Lagos, where we did quite a few bits of stage performances, and I just knew that stage is not for me. Because I don't know, and then when I came to London, and at some point when I got an opportunity to school myself again, I went to Identity Drama School in Hackney. Yes, and they taught me. In fact, they taught me so much that sometimes when I see my movies, I'm like,
"You didn't do that, did you?" I know.
But then again, I'm thinking, okay, this is your style of acting. In my culture, where I come from, we are very expressive and we are very loud.
Exactly.
In this culture, so we need to understand those two different things. Now, in this culture, I have noticed that when there's an emergency, everybody is staying still. Like,
proper.
Oh my God, call the ambulance. You know what? Like, calm down. In my culture, when there's an emergency, the whole house is coming down.
Absolutely.
You know, how else will I tell you that there's an emergency
if I don't scream?
Shout and scream? Exactly. So I'm learning the difference. And even with my kids, when they're up to something and I say, "Mommy, stop shouting, I can hear you." I'm thinking, "Oh, shame." Yeah. So it's a different culture, different society. Which one works for you? That is it. If the thing, like you rightly said, when you wanted to go into acting, you went to learn the skill. It's not just about I'm a good actress, so you know I can produce and act. But what are you doing? How are you interpreting your lines? How do you understand the line? You're giving life to somebody's life, even if it's fiction. Whatever is in that script has happened or is going to happen to somebody. So how would you react? And how is the universal way of reacting? So those are things that you need to learn. We need to learn our pronunciations. We need to learn elocution. We need to learn how to express ourselves properly, how to carry ourselves well, and how to portray yourself. I got so upset with certain things going on, and I gave an interview in Punch, and I said, you know what, I'm sorry, but don't call me an actress. No, because so many things are just like, you're an actress, like you're an actress. That's all. So please call me something else. That yes, I love acting, and I could be, but that actress thing it just doesn't work with me anymore, because I work so hard to make myself different and to make more sense for every time I meet you, I want to impart something positive into whoever. It could be in a train, it could be in a bus, whatever. I want you to think of me and think of something else than entertainment. You know, and even if it has to be entertainment, let it be educational, informative, and very, you know, entertainment with
enlightening
content.
and challenging as well.
So that you're able to represent yourself, your culture, your society properly.
That's right.
You know, and then give back to the society or whatever. But, you know, just work on yourself and do the right thing. That's all.
So you're now studying to become a psychologist.
And counseling.
And counseling. So what made you go via that route? Like you said, I know you said something about your challenges or what you went through.
Yeah.
Is that the main factor?
Yeah, that was the main factor.
Do you care to share some of those things you went through?
I do share it all the time because what I don't want is I don't want people to think I woke up and just created this life that I want to, you know, forget. I can't forget anyway. But I want people to use my experiences, you know, to learn and to improve themselves and know that you'll be fine. I was in a very abusive marriage for a long time, give and take. If the marriage was about 12 years, I think for 10 years it was just horrible. And it took me a long time, about a year or two, to come out of it. But then when I came out of it, I'm like, why would somebody treat somebody else this way? I want to know the rationale. Why? And I started studying, and thank God for this society that gave me the opportunity to study. There's no way I would have afforded 9.5 years. Are you joking? and so I decided, you know, I want to learn this thing. Why? How? And is there a way to cope with somebody like that, or to cope with myself? But first of all, I learned I had to work on myself. And that's what I tell anyone going through a tough time, that, you know, when you're sick and you go to a doctor for prescription, he doesn't give you the prescription and say, okay, give this to your child, give this to your mother-in-law, give this to your uncle. No, the drug is for you. So first of all, when you've been through the kind of thing I have been through, you come out and you first look at yourself and say, okay, what happened? What was I doing, or what was I not doing? And then when you've analyzed all that, then you begin to now work on yourself. And don't allow whatever negative experiences to live with you. But the only way to do that is to try and learn how to support other people. I'm just one of those people that being helpful to other people just makes me happy.
That's good.
Yeah? If I'm going through a terrible time, if I'm so angry about something, I could just go on Instagram and just start texting or saying hello to anonymous people, some of my fans. I could just send you a text like, oh my God, you look so beautiful, or happy birthday or something. And by the time I get certain replies, even if I don't get replies, I just feel good that they're like, oh, Victoria, I'm actually sending this text. Oh my God, you've made my day and stuff like that. I mean, I'm good. I'm good. And that is giving out the negative energy, throwing it away and taking in good. Because bad things would always happen. It will always happen. But learning how to not just cope, putting it aside and carrying on. Asking yourself, this thing happening to me in the next 6 months,
would it be important? Will it be relevant?
If it's not important, then leave it. That's and right. Carry on. Don't dwell on, okay, he did this to me, and so, you know, you're going to go on looking for how to revenge. No. Look for ways to improve yourself. Cleanse and detox yourself, both psychologically, mentally, and in every other way, and then come out with yourself. I used to, in Nigeria, I was a very confident, happy person. I got married, a few years into the marriage. I wouldn't even talk to you if I see you on the street. I lost my confidence, I lost my self-worth, self-esteem because of the things I was hearing every other day. And that's because somebody just sees you as, okay, you are this, I'm going to knock you down. And
usually it's as a result of their own insecurities.
Exactly. Which is not,
so they try to bring you down to make themselves feel better.
Yes.
That's narcissistic, isn't it?
Very, very. And I spoke about that a while ago, that I lived with one for years and I'm still dealing with one. But now, when I see him, I'm like, I feel so sorry, like, oh God. like you're missing out on a lot of good things in life. And you're supporting yourself with money and your houses and everything. That is all that does it for you. But you, as a person, you are miserable because the little things, the priceless things that are supposed to, make life good, you don't have it. And so what's the point? So psychology is teaching me, I've learned a lot about mindfulness, living in the now, and having to enjoy the now,
moment.
Be grateful, gratitude, living in gratitude. When you have an emergency, what do? Step back and think, okay, how do I solve this? What do I need to do? And I always tell people, see, if you have to cry, cry. If you have to scream, go to somewhere, scream. If you have to be upset, I'm the kind of person, I will tell my friends, I'm having a terrible, terrible day. I'm vexing. I beg. This happened. And I've been so blessed. I have, I think two or three friends that, let me say two. One in Nigeria, Joy, and the other one that I can actually call and say, I'm angry. I am angry. And she will say, okay, talk. What's happened? And I will talk and talk. Talking is very good.
Therapeutic.
It's very, very, and that, at some point I'm still planning on putting things together, and I'm calling my thing, please let's talk, PLP, because first of all, the culture we live in, we don't talk.
Yeah. If
you want to talk about your relationship, your marriage is bad and please, your own, is it bad, and stuff like that? Is our time?
Our time. Well, unfortunately, our time is fast spent. So this was getting even juicier. I hope you can come back again because it would be nice.
I'm not coming back. Yes, of course.
Thank you very much for coming. It's really, really good to hang out with you. I was really looking forward to even talking more, but unfortunately, we're spent for time. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed yourself today. I've had a wonderful time, and hopefully I'll see you guys again real soon. Very, very happy Christmas. Have fun. Stuff your face. Christmas comes once in a year, so enjoy yourselves. Yeah, don't drink and drive. Yes, don't drink and drive, but be good and stay safe and happy holidays. Goodbye. Take care of yourselves. Bye. Stay beautiful.
Little baby.